Welcome the rare gems. Kindness is a choice, trust is a risk, and not everyone deserves both. If you've ever found yourself giving without hesitation but hesitating to trust, you're not broken. You're a Sigma female. You don't help others because you expect something in return. You do it because it's in your nature. You see the struggles people hide, the weight they carry, and you step in, not for praise, but because you understand what it means to stand alone. But here's the truth. You've learned the hard way that trust is a dangerous currency. You've given it before, only to watch people misuse it, twist it, or disappear when you needed them most. So you built walls, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. You are not cold, you are not detached, you are precise. You know that not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions, and not everyone who receives your help deserves your trust. That's not cynicism, it's experience. So don't let the world convince you that you need to change. Your kindness is strength, not a weakness. Your caution is intelligence, not paranoia. You move differently because you see through the illusions others fall for. And that, more than anything, is why you stand apart. Let's dive into 10 reasons why Sigma females help everyone but trust no one. Number 1. They give without expectation, because expectations lead to disappointment. Sigma females have learned one brutal truth. Most people operate on a give-and-take system, but the taking part is often the only thing they excel at. They've seen it too many times. People who only show up when they need something, who accept help with open hands but closed hearts, who vanish the moment they're no longer benefiting. So instead of setting themselves up for disappointment, Sigma females remove expectations altogether. They don't help because they're hoping for loyalty. They don't give because they want recognition. They do it because it aligns with who they are. They see struggle, they step in, and they move on, not because they expect the favor to be returned, but because they refuse to let the selfishness of others change their character. But make no mistake, this doesn't mean they're naive. Quite the opposite. They know exactly how people work. They understand that true loyalty is rare, that gratitude fades quickly, and that most people will take whatever they can without a second thought. This is why they never let their kindness become a debt. They never position themselves as someone who needs anything from others. Instead, they choose self-sufficiency. They don't wait for anyone to rescue them, support them, or stand by them. If someone does, great. If not, it changes nothing. Their strength isn't tied to the reliability of others. It comes from within. And here's the catch. This is precisely what makes them so powerful. Because while others waste energy feeling bitter about unreturned favors, Sigma females remain unshaken. They don't carry the weight of resentment. They don't keep a mental scoreboard of who owes them what. They give freely, live freely, and trust only when it's earned. That's why no one can manipulate them with guilt. They help because they choose to, not because they need to. And that kind of independence? It's rare. It's unstoppable. It's what sets them apart. Number 2. They help to observe, not to attach. For most people, helping others is about forming connections, building relationships, or feeling needed. But for Sigma females, it's a completely different game. They don't help to attach themselves to people. They help to understand them. Every act of generosity is a silent test, a way to watch, learn, and uncover a person's true nature. Sigma females have mastered the art of observation. They don't just listen to words, they watch for patterns. They notice how people behave when they're receiving help versus when they're being asked for it. Do they show gratitude or do they act entitled? Do they reciprocate or do they disappear the moment they no longer need you? Do they remember kindness or do they conveniently forget once they've taken what they came for? These questions don't have to be asked out loud. Sigma females find their answers just by watching, because they've learned that people's true colors don't show when things are easy. They show when things get complicated. And so, they help, but they remain detached. They don't get emotionally invested in people too soon. They don't assume loyalty just because they've done something kind. They don't rush to label someone as a friend just because they've shared a few good moments. They take their time. They let people reveal who they really are, not who they pretend to be when things are in their favor. This is why Sigma females rarely get blindsided. They don't move based on emotions, they move based on evidence. They've seen what happens when trust is given too easily, and they refuse to make that mistake. Instead, they help, They watch and they wait. If someone proves themselves, then and only then do they allow them a little closer. And if not, they walk away without a second thought, because they were never attached in the first place. Number 3. They've learned that trust is a liability in the wrong hands. Sigma females understand something that most people learn the hard way. Trust is not just a virtue, it's a risk. And in the wrong hands, it's a weapon that can be used against them. They've watched people give their trust too easily, only to be blindsided by betrayal. They've seen how quickly words can turn into manipulation, how easily someone can twist loyalty into control. And they refuse to be one of those people who blindly believe in good intentions. This doesn't mean they're cynical, it means they're aware. They know that trust is a privilege, not an entitlement. It's not something you owe someone just because they ask for it, and it's certainly not something to hand out based on appearances or charming words. That's why Sigma females help others without making themselves vulnerable. They can listen to a friend's problems, give advice, or lend a hand, all without exposing their own weaknesses. They separate generosity from trust because they know the two are not the same. And this mindset confuses people. Most expect kindness to come with automatic trust, but Sigma females operate differently. They know that too much exposure given to the wrong person can lead to disappointment, betrayal, or even sabotage, so they control what they share, when they share it, and with whom. But make no mistake, when a Sigma female does trust someone, it's real. It's deep, unwavering, and earned through time and consistency. Yet even then, they remain prepared for the unexpected. They never assume loyalty will last forever because they've seen how quickly circumstances can change. At the end of the day, their guarded nature isn't about fear. It's about wisdom. They refuse to gamble with their peace, their security, or their heart, because trust, once broken, is rarely the same again. Number 4. They recognize that people are masters at deception. Sigma females don't live in a fantasy world where everyone has good intentions. They've seen too much, experienced too much, and learned the hard way that deception comes in many forms. A friendly smile can hide envy. A kind gesture can be a setup. A plea for help can be nothing more than emotional manipulation in disguise. They've watched people play the victim while secretly being the villain. They've seen betrayal come from those they once trusted the most. They've witnessed how quickly loyalty can turn into convenience, how some people are only around when it benefits them, only kind when they need something, only honest when it suits their agenda. So while Sigma females help, they do it with open eyes. They don't blindly assume that kindness means integrity or that vulnerability equals honesty. They study people carefully, picking up on inconsistencies, reading between the lines, and noticing the details most overlook. They watch how people treat others, not just how they act when they want something. This is why they rarely get fooled. They can sense when someone is wearing a mask, when their words don't match their energy, when their actions reveal a truth they're trying to hide. And if they ever do misjudge someone, it only happens once, because Sigma females don't make the same mistake twice. But here's the difference between them and others. They don't let this knowledge turn them cold or bitter. They still help. They still give. But they do so with boundaries, with awareness, with the understanding that not everyone is what they seem, and that's their real power. Because while others get trapped in emotional games, Sigma females remain steps ahead, seeing through illusions, avoiding manipulation, and making sure that their kindness is never used against them. Number 5. They help as a form of control, not dependence. For most people, helping others is about feeling needed, securing relationships, or proving their worth. But for Sigma females, it's about maintaining control. They help not because they're seeking validation or expecting anything in return, but because they've learned a harsh truth. Relying on others is a dangerous gamble. Sigma females have experienced what it feels like to be let down, ignored, or left stranded when they needed help the most. They've seen how promises can be empty, how loyalty can be conditional, and how people's support often disappears the moment things become inconvenient. So instead of putting themselves in a position where they have to ask for help, they ensure they never have to. By being the giver, they stay in control. They never owe anyone anything. They never have to beg, wait, or hope that someone will come through for them. And most importantly, they never put themselves at the mercy of someone who might use their vulnerability against them. But this doesn't mean their help is manipulative. It's strategic. It allows them to observe people, to understand their nature without exposing themselves. They can see who is genuinely appreciative versus who is entitled, who reciprocates versus who only takes. And if they ever need to walk away, they can do so without hesitation because they never built their life around someone else's support in the first place. This mindset makes Sigma females untouchable. While others get trapped in cycles of dependency, emotional debts, and disappointment, they remain free. They don't have to lower their standards, compromise their values, or put their trust in the wrong hands just to survive. They help, they give, they contribute, but always on their terms. And that's what truly sets them apart. Because while most people fear being alone, Sigma females embrace it. They'd rather be independent than be caught waiting for help that may never come. Number 6. They view trust as a test, not a gift. Sigma females don't believe in blind trust. To them, trust isn't something you give, it's something others earn. While most people hand it out based on emotions, connections, or hopeful assumptions, Sigma females take a different approach. They treat trust like a long-term test, carefully observing how people behave over time before deciding if they're truly worthy of it. Why? Because they've seen how quickly people can switch up. One day they're loyal, the next they're betraying you for their own benefit. One moment they're full of admiration. The next, they're envious and looking for ways to undermine you. Sigma females have felt what it's like to be deceived by someone they once believed in, and they refuse to let it happen again. So they test. Quietly. Subtly. They watch how people handle power, how they react when they don't get their way, and how they treat those who have nothing to offer them. They take note of the little things. Do they keep their word, or do they make excuses? Do they talk about others behind their backs, revealing they'll likely do the same to you? Do they change their energy when they think no one is watching? These details matter because for Sigma females, trust isn't about words, it's about patterns. And if someone fails the test, they don't get a second chance. Sigma females don't waste time making the same mistake twice. But if someone passes, if they prove through consistent actions that they are honest, dependable, and genuine, only then does a Sigma female consider letting them in. Even then, the trust is measured, never absolute. Because they know people change, they know circumstances shift, and they know that the only person they can fully rely on, no matter what, is themselves. Number 7. They know that helping others doesn't mean they owe them trust. For Sigma females, kindness and trust are two completely different things. They can be generous, supportive, and willing to help those in need. But that doesn't mean they suddenly open the door to their personal world. Unlike most people, they don't confuse giving with bonding. Many mistake their kindness for an invitation. They assume that just because a Sigma female has offered help, she must also be willing to share her thoughts, emotions, and private struggles. But that's where they're wrong. Sigma females don't operate on emotional transactions. They help because they choose to, not because they feel obligated to build a relationship, and this is where people often get frustrated with them. Some expect that after receiving kindness, they are automatically owed a deeper connection. But Sigma females don't play by those rules. They can support someone without trusting them. They can be there for others without revealing their own vulnerabilities, and they can give without expecting anything, but also without offering more than they intend to. This level of emotional discipline comes from experience. They've seen how trust can be weaponized, how personal details can be used against them, and how some people only seek closeness to gain leverage. So, they set a boundary. Generosity is freely given, but trust, that's earned. Slowly, carefully, and only by those who prove themselves over time. And if someone takes offense to this, that's not the Sigma female's problem, because she has learned that real trust isn't built overnight, and it certainly isn't given just because someone received a favor. At the end of the day, she remains in control. She decides who gets access to her mind, who earns a place in her world, and who she keeps at a distance, no matter how much she's done for them. Number 8. They've seen how people turn when they don't get what they want. Sigma females have learned one of life's hardest lessons. Some people don't value you. They value what you can do for them. They've watched friendships shift, relationships crumble, and even family members grow distant the moment they stopped benefiting from them. And that experience? It changed everything. They've seen how quickly loyalty disappears when there's nothing left to take. How the same people who once praised them can turn cold, indifferent, or even hostile when they're no longer getting what they want. And it's not always obvious at first. Some are subtle, gradually pulling away, making excuses, or treating them with less warmth. Others are blatant, lashing out, guilt-tripping, or trying to manipulate them into resuming their role as the giver. But Sigma females don't play that game. They've trained themselves to pay attention. They notice when relationships feel conditional, when kindness is only shown in exchange for favors, and when someone's true nature reveals itself the moment they stop getting their way. This is why trust, to them, is not freely given. It's not assumed just because someone calls themselves a friend or shares the same bloodline. It's tested, observed, proven. They refuse to be someone's safety net, only to be discarded when they enforce boundaries. They refuse to keep pouring into people who only stick around when it's convenient. And most of all, they refuse to mistake familiarity for trust. Just because someone has been around for years doesn't mean they're loyal. Just because someone says all the right things doesn't mean they mean them. So now, Sigma females move differently. They give, but with awareness. They love, but with wisdom. And they trust, but only when it has been earned, not simply expected. Number 9. They help to keep their humanity intact, not to build attachments. For Sigma females, helping others isn't about them. It's about who she is. It's not about earning praise, securing friendships, or creating emotional ties. It's about keeping her own integrity intact, no matter how cold or indifferent the world may seem. She has seen what happens when people let life harden them, when disappointment turns into bitterness, when betrayal turns into distrust of everyone, and when past pain makes someone numb to the struggles of others. Sigma females refuse to become that. They refuse to let the selfishness of others strip them of their ability to be decent human beings. But make no mistake, this doesn't mean they're naive. They don't help expecting gratitude, loyalty, or friendship in return. They don't use kindness as a tool to gain favor. In fact, they assume that most people will take their help and disappear. And they're fine with that. Because their kindness isn't about forming attachments. It's about making sure they don't lose themselves in a world full of selfish motives. That's why they move differently. They can step in, offer support, and walk away without feeling the need to be acknowledged. They can help someone without giving them access to their personal life. They don't seek recognition, and they certainly don't use their good deeds as leverage. This is what confuses people. They expect kindness to come with strings attached, with expectations, with some hidden need for validation. But Sigma females operate on a different level. They give because it aligns with their values, not because they need anyone's approval. And that's the difference. While most use kindness as a way to connect, a Sigma female uses it as a way to stay grounded. She remains true to herself, no matter how the world treats her, because at the end of the day, her integrity is worth far more than any shallow attachment. Number 10. They know that most people wouldn't survive what they have. Sigma females don't wear their struggles like a badge, but if people knew the full extent of what they've endured, they'd be shocked. The betrayals, the heartbreaks, the silent battles they've fought alone, most people wouldn't last a day in their shoes. And because of that, Sigma females don't expect others to truly understand them. They've been through situations that force them to toughen up. They've had to rebuild from nothing, trust the wrong people, and learn the hard way that not everyone has good intentions. They've faced moments where the weight of everything felt unbearable, yet they kept going. Not because they had support, but because they had no other choice. And this is why they are guarded. Not because they're cold, not because they don't feel deeply, but because they know that most people don't have the depth to truly relate to their experiences. They've seen how quickly others judge what they don't understand. They've learned that vulnerability, in the wrong hands, becomes ammunition. So they keep parts of themselves hidden. They let people see what they choose to reveal. But their deepest struggles, their hardest moments, those belong to them alone. Because at the end of the day, most wouldn't get it. And even fewer would survive it. This is what sets Sigma females apart. While others crumble under pressure, they adapt. While others seek validation, they find their own strength. And while others fall apart when faced with betrayal, they walk away and rebuild. So no, they don't open up easily. They don't hand over trust just because someone seems nice. They've learned that true resilience is built in silence, and their story? That's something only they need to understand. The hidden truth. Strength in selective trust. Sigma females are not cold. They are calculated. They are not unkind. They are discerning. They don't walk through life with walls up because they enjoy isolation, but because experience has taught them that not everyone deserves access to their world. They help because it aligns with their values, not because they expect anything in return. They give without attachment, observe without assumption, and move without seeking approval. But trust? That is something entirely different. It is not handed out like an invitation. It is earned through time, consistency, and actions that match words. The world may not always understand them. People may call them distant, guarded, or even too independent. But Sigma females know the truth. Their strength lies in their ability to stand alone, to navigate life with clarity, and to never be controlled by the false security of shallow connections. And to every Sigma female out there, never apologize for your discernment. Never feel guilty for protecting your peace. The ones who truly deserve to be in your life will prove their worth, not demand your trust for nothing. You are strong, not because you never fall, but because you always rise alone. You are rare, not because you shut people out, but because you refuse to let the wrong ones in. And above all, you are free, free from manipulation, free from betrayal, and free to live on your own terms. Keep being who you are. The world may not always understand, but that has never stopped you before. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.